The Franco-Prussian War, the war where the North German Confederation and the Southern German states united together to fight Napoleon III and France. In the end, France failed miserably at the war due to Germany's massive advantages and other factors. But what if France won the Franco-Prussian War? There are many ways to make France win the Franco-Prussian War, but I'll stick with us a couple simple ways. One would be Otto von Bismarck being assassinated in 1866. This would be a huge blow to the North German Confederation leadership. And another way would be to have the French use new technology like railroads and artillery like Prussia did. Here's how I imagine the war would go. After negotiations break down with the southern German states to try and form a German empire, the North German Confederation tries to forcefully integrate them by attacking, but unexpectedly France comes to their aid. France mobilizes and strikes at an unprepared North German Confederation. Didn't think France would intervene. As the months pass by, the French and southern German states reach the Rhine River, and it looks like they're gonna push the North Germans further, but Wilhelm I reluctantly calls for a peace. In the peace, the southern German states like Hesse, Baden, Württemberg, and Bavaria are recognized as independent nations. The North Confederation of Germany would have to pay reparations to France, and very crushingly and humiliatingly, France would annex the Saarland. And then later I can see secret negotiations are made between Italy and France, so France can remove forces from the Papal States and allow Italy to annex it, mostly to improve relations with them and have them as an ally in the future. In 1873, Napoleon III dies, so his son Louis Napoleon takes over as Emperor of France and becomes Napoleon IV. Despite their previous alliance in the Crimean War, the British are afraid of a newly rising France under Napoleon, who looks to be dominating the continent of Europe, so they begin to improve relations with the North German Confederation. And so France looks to Russia for a potential alliance, like our timeline, due to Russia and Britain rivalry in the Great Game, and Russia needing foreign investment, and as a bonus to deter German aggression in the future. I imagine that colonization in Asia and Africa goes the same, but maybe the North German Confederation tries to go for a bit more to compensate for them not being able to form their German empire. World War I starts relatively the same, with Franz Ferdinand being assassinated, but the North German Confederation only agrees to help Austria-Hungary if Russia joins in to aid Serbia should a war occur. And a war does occur, so France joins in as an ally to Russia against the North German Confederation and Austria-Hungary. As France, North German Confederation, and Russia begin rapid mobilization, the French try to push into the Rhineland, but are stopped due to a series of bunkers, trenches, and defenses built by the North German Confederation behind the Mosel and Rhine River. The North German Confederation's plan for the West is to hold the line. Meanwhile, they plan to knock out Russia with Austria first, before focusing all their forces on France. But the plan stalls as Austria doesn't take out Serbia as fast as it was thought so, while the Eastern Front is moving its going at a slow pace, and the North Confederation of Germany is doing most of the work. As months of fighting go by and 1915 approaches, the French try a bold plan, the Joffre Plan, a plan in which Italy would join the war on the side of France and attack Austria and Tyrol and Istria to march to Vienna, and France would invade through neutral Belgium and Luxembourg to get past the Mosel River fortifications, encircle the German forces, and make a dash to Berlin. As the plan is executed, Italy stalls due to bad terrain and military blunders, and Belgium and Luxembourg refuse its entry to French troops, which then causes an invasion of the two by France. This outrages Britain, who declares war on the Paris-Moscow alliance to honor its commitment of defending Belgian neutrality and ensure France and Russia don't dominate the continent. With Britain entering, the scales seem to tip into the Central Powers' favor. The Royal and German Navy now dominate the seas and blockade the Paris-Moscow alliance. As the war goes on, new nations throw their hats into the rings, hoping to achieve their dreams. Before Britain's entry, the French-German fighting in Africa was small, and France was winning due to them investing a lot in their overseas colonies and having lots of colonial garrisons in them. But after British entry, the tide turned, as France was now being pushed back in Africa. With some convinces and promises, Japan also joins on the war on the side of the Central Powers, launching attacks on Indochina and other French territories in the Pacific. As for the US, they don't enter the war, as there's no unrestricted submarine warfare going on against their boats, and they favor Great Britain more. Eventually, Russia breaks down, and the Brest-Litovsk Treaty is signed. Some troops stay in the newly acquired territory for garrison duty, and the rest go to the west. As strikes, starvation, exhaustion, and deaths pile up, France decides on one last offensive, push in the spring. La Bataille de l'Empereur. As hard as they try, the French plan fails. The Ottomans fall, then the Italians, and finally, France. The Italians lose Venetia and their East Italian African holdings. France loses the Saar, most of Lorraine, their Asian holdings, Central African and Madagascar holdings. Napoleon IV is forced to abdicate and an unstable republic is proclaimed. A demilitarized zone is established from North Calais to Alsace. France's military is limited and they have to pay major reparations to the North German Confederation and Belgium due to damage caused. While there was a plan to carve up the Ottomans, it didn't come fully to fruition due to Ataturk and the Turks not letting the Central Powers have their way. After this great war, everyone in Europe is tired, exhausted, millions are dead. Looks like another Napoleon has been defeated by a great coalition. Although beaten, there is always a chance for another greater France. But who could lead this better France into another great war?